finally here tonight. We are joined by Rod Lampard of Cauldron Pool. Rod, welcome back to the show.
Thanks again for having me.
Well, there have been so many fabulous stories out of your laptop lately, Rod, but a few of them centre on California in particular. Now, I would like to start by continuing the story of Elon Musk from earlier in the program. We had a former NASA engineer, Paul Vallejo, on to discuss the incredible space program being led by Elon Musk, which is centred in California. And for the benefit of our viewers, there are lots of reasons why the space program is in California, but the big one is the physics of the Earth, so it's good for launching things. But Rod, you would think that California would be thankful to have a man like Elon Musk putting it at the forefront of history. I mean, space exploration is our future. Why are the bureaucrats in California, are they rolling out the red carpet for Musk, or are they being a bit petulant?
I think the latter, definitely. I mean, if you looked at the Coastal Commission's entire video, it's atrocious. They're overreaching in on their platform, and I mean it was, as I said before, it was premeditated. It was scripted. Gretchen Newsom clearly was reading from a script that she'd prepared, and even her body language. When you watch the 5-minute video, the clip of that, which is up on X, it's shocking. It says a lot about what she was trying to do with that, and that was basically take down Trump through Musk and attack their relationship. And I think it's just designed. SpaceX is just a tool, and they're using that as a whip and putting their authority behind it to whip Musk into line with an ideological worldview that obviously he's opposed to when he said that, such as a woke mind virus and things like that. So I mean, I reckon the whole thing was definitely vicious, and if you can see, even what's his name? I forget his name now, but Mike Wilson, he actually said this. He said this in the whole thing, that they should. This is the commission should push back against political rhetoric, violent political rhetoric. That's his words verbatim, and he's talking to Space Force, who are there to request on behalf of SpaceX to increase flights from 36 to 50 every year. They'd gone from 6 to 36 already, and that was this year. And so this was an opportunity, I think, for Gretchen and Mike to attack Trump through Musk and through SpaceX. It's quite nasty, really, I think, and vindictive. Well,
for our viewers, the Coastal Commission in California it's like a bureaucracy that sits between space exploration and future benefits for humanity and the environmental concerns. So they're basically using environmental laws to stop SpaceX from expanding its missions. But instead of talking about the environment, which is what you would expect from the Coastal Commission, they talked about Elon Musk's politics. Now, if you sat through nearly 4 hours of the detail, which was excruciating, by the way, they appear to be focused on things like Trump, for instance, which is weird. Did you get the impression, because I know you watched it, that this really was about getting to Trump instead of Elon Musk, or do they actually hate Elon Musk as well and his entire business structure?
I think it's just the political views. I think that their worldview is so opposite, and they're so entrenched in that, such as the woke, Marxian-Woke worldview, that cultural Marxist sort of take on life, the oppressor, the oppressed sort of divide. I mean, I think it was political theatre, and it was deliberately designed. I don't think Mike Wilson necessarily had his. You can tell he just was throwing it out there, and he actually says that, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, I've got a quote here from Mike. So Mike Wilson said, and I quote, "I just want to put it out there. This company is owned by the richest person in the world and direct control of what could be the biggest global communication system on the planet." And then if we look at what Gretchen Newsom, who's no relation to Nuisance Newsom, said, she said, Elon Musk has enjoyed substantial subsidies from California amounting to $3.2 billion while threatening to relocate his operations, including his headquarters, from California to Texas, citing his bigoted beliefs against California's safeguards and protection of our transgender community. Now, in response, Elon, of course, threatened to sue them. But honestly, why are they talking about transgenderism when we're talking about space rockets?
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, I think that itself unveils or betrays what they're actually on about. I think also there's probably an economic aspect to this. I know that there is a genuine environmental concern there, and that was established by, I think, probably 22 local people from the local area who sent in submissions, and few of those actually talked about Elon's politics. They talked about the marine life and things like that, and how they don't know the kind of impact 50 launches will have per year on that area. So I don't think it's the public that are necessarily concerned about Elon Musk's political views, which is interesting because if you look at that, the submissions compared to Newsom and Wilson's, argument, it's not even representative of the people.
You're 100% right. There were some actual people there who talked about the environment. You're going, yeah, that's a point. You're making a good point. And these guys are like, oh, yeah, but, the transgender comments. I mean, that is not a point. But look, also in California,
it's exactly right,
I want to talk about another nightmare that's going on down there. The Babylon Bee is suing over the banning of satire surrounding elections. Rod, what is the Babylon Bee and why is California banning satire?
Well, Babylon Bee started out as a Christian satire site, and since then, Seth Dillon's taken it. So he bought it and took it to the next level. And I mean, I don't think he even said this. He didn't expect it to just become this global mission and this global platform that it's become. I guess it's like controlled opposition, I suppose. In that sense, you have that outlet, that valve for blowing off steam. And in reality, he's actually kind of said, well, we're kind of predicting things before they even happen. And all he's really doing is pointing out the idiocy and the conclusions of this ideological worldview, which is the cultural Marxist, neo-Marxist woke sort of agenda that's out there. And we see this in public. We see it in Australia with the Welcome to Country. We see it being deployed everywhere with the pronouns. So there was this week in New South Wales, you saw the arrogance, the love is love, political arrogance, and how they were celebrating this, which was really the destruction of women's sports and female-only spaces. It's insane. I mean, and we do have some politicians that are against that. And again, though, I think majority of the public, like we see in California with the Vandenberg SpaceX environmental thing, you can see the contrast. I don't think the majority of the public are interested in the trans and the LGBT and that agenda, but it's being forced on them. And it's being, I think, as Newsom kind of did, she sort of made it out to be that everyone's concerned about it's an urgent crisis, and Musk is at the head of this. He is the enemy, and he has to be brought into line. And she did that by trying to weaponize complaints against him from 8 engineers who were fired for criticizing him and basically his politics on social media. And there's a court case ongoing about that. But you can see the lawfare and the weaponization going on with that. And so there's a connection here with Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Newsom, Musk and Trump, the DOJ, the Biden-Harris, the Harris-Biden administration, let's be honest. It's Harris and Biden, not Biden-Harris. And how they've sort of weaponized that lawfare in the Department of Justice for the last 4 years against Trump. And Musk knows, and I think this feeds into that Babylon Bee agenda, that anti-free speech, that anti-dissent censorship. It's that whole point about, that Trump has all these ridiculous court cases where, and even J6, when we jump from that to J6, you jump from that to pro-lifers, there's a bunch of political prisoners already doing time because of Biden and Harris administration's weaponization of the DOJ, and Musk is on their hit list, and he knows that.
Basically, Elon Musk represents freedom. And so the Democrats who oppose freedom oppose everything that Elon Musk touches. But look, but what happened really with the Babylon Bee is there was an AI-generated ad campaign, and it was incredibly effective, and Gavin Newsom took offence at it. It's now been viewed over 78 million times thanks to the Streisand effect. Here we have a short clip of it. Have a watch.
I, Kamala Harris, and your Democrat candidate for president, because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist.
Now, to be clear, nobody thought that was a real ad. They all knew it was a parody ad. The problem was it was also entirely truthful, which is what made it so damaging to the Kamala Harris campaign. Now, the ability to ban satire surrounding an election, which was the excuse given, was to do with 2 new misinformation, disinformation laws in California. Rod, is California a crystal ball for Australia when it comes to the end point of mad laws?
I would actually say Brazil is, to be honest. Brazil and California are linked. The same things are linked. Although that Newsom law has been shelved for now because the judge ruled that it was potentially unconstitutional. So it's on hold. They've frozen that. But it's interesting because that law in California only applies during elections. It's the same justification that De Moraes gave for his ex-ban, and when he discusses digital militias and Newsom talks about what he says, he's defending democracy from deep fake deception. It's the same language, it's the same plot, it's the same script they're reading from. So De Moraes and Newsom in California, the Democrats they're all reading from the same script. And so I think there's a connection, and I don't think it's something we should overlook with that. There's definitely something there. And so Babylon Bee are being targeted, I think. They're based in Florida, but they do a lot of their work in California, which is makes sense because it's where a lot of the production companies are, and most of the actors are there as well. But when you look at that and you say, okay, well, the government, the Labor government's proposed censorship bill is not about protecting the people. It's about protecting the politics the government is backing. And that's what's happened in Brazil. That's protecting the progressives, protecting the leftist bureaucracy, the hegemony that's in deep trouble. When you look across the world, you've got Italy, you've got Hungary, you've got, Denmark, I think. You've even got El Salvador, you've got Argentina. And Trump, perhaps in the United States. I mean, there is this wave of non-woke, perhaps even anti-woke, right to life, right to freedom of speech, classical liberal defense of freedom that's coming through this. So liberty is in revolt against the woke agenda in the world, and it's a good and encouraging thing to see. But in Australia, I think we're kind of a bit slow to take up that point and see it. But it's encouraging. I think Australians should be encouraged by that.
Liberty is in revolt against the woke agenda. What a great line from you there, Rod. And of course, it's not the AI deep fake that the left are worried about. It's the truth that the AI deep fake was projecting to the world that they're concerned of, because the politicians, as we know, Kamala sits there in her last interview and never tells the actual truth, and her deep fake was telling the truth. Oh, I love the hat. Look, we're almost at the election. Make America great again. Let's hope that Trump gets it over the line. Thank you so much, Rod, for joining us here today on Spectator TV.